This story is posted in Open Marriage subreddit by user culturalshape5035. My wife just asked for an open marriage. About 7 hours ago, my wife said to me 5 words that I believe has set us on a path for divorce. She said, "I want an open marriage." I'm here to get some advice, insight on poly open marriage. What could my wife be really thinking, and future question to ask her, as we will be having many more long discussions. I'm at a loss and need help. I'm 29. Wife is 33. We've been married for 3 years. No children. She had never expressed to me any desire or shown any interest in poly or open relationships in the 5 years we've been together. When she sat me down to have that talk hours ago, I know something was wrong, and I did my best to be open-minded and supportive. There was no preparing for what she was about to ask of me, so I asked her what brought this on. She said it's a feeling she's had for a long time. She said there had been a few men in the past that she and him had shown real chemistry and connection, but she never pursued them because of me. I noticed the pain in her voice as she forced herself to try to explain. My head was in a tailspin the entire time we talked, but looking over at my wife, her eyes were red, her cheeks and nose swollen, her blouse stained with tears. All I wanted to do was squeeze her and hold her tight and tell her how much I love her. But I didn't. I just let her sit there babbling on with all her reasons. We both were trying to hold it together as I saw and heard genuine agony in her voice and trembling hands, and that made me feel even more miserable and helpless. For a brief moment, I did feel that her pain was greater than mine, so I did the best I could to console her. But neither of us were getting any comfort. My wife is a beautiful, gorgeous woman inside and out. Of course I know men will be pursing her. For some context, I'm way out of my wife's league. I'm a 5 at best, she's a 12. I'm not a jealous person, and I couldn't be if I wanted to keep my wife who is as hot as her. More than a dozen times since we've been together, I've seen men flirt with her. At her workplace, bars, coffee shops, concerts. I would see them from a distance, men flirting with her when I'm not at her side. I know she enjoys the attention, and it never bothered me, because I knew she would politely turn them all down for me. I've gotten used to this. She's always had an infectious laugh that's near a siren's call. She had a way and an ease that could smitten a stone heart. A touch from her fingertips was all that was needed to cast her spell. But opening our marriage is too much. It was a bridge too far. She went on to explain how she also needs variety. She wants to do things sexually that she'd rather not do or can't do with me, her husband. So right then and there, that was the first time I've ever felt so insecure and so little in regards with my wife's sexual prowess. For some context, my wife has had more sexual partners than me. Me too, her 21, which includes groups intercourse, which I have never done. Again, not an envious person. I told her I too would love to have intercourse with more variety of women, but in reality that's not in the cards for me, even if I were with you or without you. My wife and I love to experiment sexually and try each other's kinks, but it was always with each other. When I asked for examples of what she wanted sexually from an open marriage, she couldn't give me any specifics, other than a threesome with 2 men, more often because that's what she enjoyed. I told her, I'm open to including another man for a threesome from time to time, but if we can also include another woman. She shifted to another discussion. My wife isn't homophobic, but in the years that I've known her, she has been adverse to female affection, not even a cheek-to-cheek with another woman. Next, she tells me she felt something was missing in her life, that she's had this void long before she met me. An opening marriage will fulfill that. I asked why she never told me this earlier. We shared everything about each other. We nurtured each other's aspirations, lifted each other when one lacked confidence, protected and soothed one another's insecurities. I said if she had mentioned this while we were dating, we could have tried, but not right now. I told her, I gotten used to married life. Being monogamous with her is all I want now, and I don't have any desire to go back into the dating scene. I would struggle at it as flirting and charming women were never my strong suit. In case you're curious how an awkward geek like me married a beautiful lady, she was being harassed by a man in a parking lot that turned physical. The guy was taller and bigger, so I sucker punched him and kicked him in the balls. I was acquitted of charges, but the other guy served jail time. This led to a friendship, but a relationship didn't happen until I won a very popular contest of sorts. I won't say what the contest is, just that it involves politics. As the old saying goes, women love winners. I made clear to her I'm not comfortable changing our monogamous marriage to something else, as that's not what I signed up for. I told her she is the love of my life and the future mother of my children, and I'll do anything to help make her happy. In hindsight, I don't think I should have said that, but I really do love her and want her to be happy. I'm just not sure the path she wants to go down, I can go with her. I also asked, other than intercourse, what kind of relationship did she want from this arrangement? Again, she wasn't specific, but she alluded to the full long-term kind and multiple of them. Next few hours or so, she kept asking me what would it take for me to feel comfortable? What boundaries did I want to set? Most of my answers were, I don't know, and me not being very specific. It was a bit hard to concentrate. The few I did suggest was that our marriage was primary above all her other relationships. Another was, if we were to do this, then everyone must practice safe intercourse. My wife is currently on the pill. Am not wearing a condom when we have C. I made clear, while we are married, she is to never get pregnant by another man or have another man's child, which brought up the discussion of us having children and when are we going to start our family. The answer she gave me was the kill shot of the night. She wanted us to try the open marriage first before we start a family. Up until that point, I held my composure the best I could, but that all shattered to pieces. Everything inside me drained like a broken pitcher of water. That was the first time my wife saw me in that state. If I had a wish that could erase 1 minute of my life, that would be it. If it was ever in my power, I would never allow my wife to see me behave like that ever. But at this point, we were both in tear and in bad shape. She kept telling me how much she loves me, and that will never change. We're just gonna have to wait a little bit to start our family, that's all. She tried to wrap her arms around me to console me, but the moment she tried to tighten her hug around me, I just got up and walked away. I couldn't take it anymore. I was defeated. There were too many thoughts rushing through my head. I wandered around the house waiting for a while for my wife to go to sleep. I stayed in the bathroom for a long time, trying to avoid her. The things she said were stuck on replay in my brain. When I knew she was in bed, I left the house and went to my parents' home, where I started looking up everything about poly open marriage. I'm still struggling even as I write this. As I started writing this done, it eventually turned into this post. The sun is about to rise, and I called in sick from work. Now I'm going to try to get some sleep. Sorry this was long, but I had to get it off my chest. I will keep you updated. Any help would be appreciated. The wife, out of the blue, wants an open marriage. And let me tell you, it's not your everyday plot twist. Picture this: tears, swollen cheeks, and a stained blouse. The wife confesses she's been harboring these feelings for a while, desires variety, and drops the bombshell that she wants to explore an open marriage before starting a family. Cue the shattered emotional state of our storyteller. Now this guy knows he's punching above his weight class, a self-proclaimed 5 married to a 12. He's been cool with the attention his wife gets from other guys, but an open marriage? That's a bridge too far. He's struggling to comprehend the sudden shift, and, frankly, who wouldn't? As the night unfolds, boundaries are discussed, emotions run high, and the storyteller is left in a state of defeat, seeking solace at his parents' home, researching everything about poly open marriages like a person drowning in uncertainty. So guys, what's your take on this? Drop your advice, share your thoughts, and let's hope our friend finds some clarity. Let's get into the comments. User level Run9089 said, if you want to make an open poly relationship work, you've come to the correct place to get insight and tips. However, it doesn't sound like you want this at all. So I will point out the obvious. You stated she's a 10 and you're a 5. Thus you know that if she chooses, she could be with 25 men by the end of 2024 or even more, especially considering the types of sexual experimentation she wants. If you are a 5, as you say, if you stay with her in this open marriage for 10 years, you are likely to still be at 2 partners after a decade, especially since it sounds like she doesn't have interest in FFM, swinging, etc. You will have to be able to process and accept this knowledge as you go forward with it. Secondly, regardless you get less time with her, you will likely be at home, she will be on dates. Right now you have your Fridays. Maybe you watch TV and order takeout or go see a movie. You'll do this alone. Maybe one Friday a month, maybe every Friday. You'll wake up on Sunday mornings alone instead of next to her, especially if she is wanting true romantic relationships with multiple partners. Maybe not every Sunday. Obviously, these are just generalized examples, but regardless of boundaries, regardless of rules, these are likely outcomes in some form or another. It sounds like you see the writing on the wall and that your marriage is ending. And I truly feel for you. I'm sorry this is happening. You know yourself and what you can accept. And from this post, it sounds like you cannot accept this. Know that even for 5s, there's more out there. And despite the hurt, you can recover and find someone who wants to be with just you. But if you do decide to entertain this and work through it, you likely realize that what I said above is probable. Be honest with yourself and think through how you'll feel before you commit to anything. And understand your own level of acceptable heartache. User Professional Volume 93 said, OP, although you have posted on an open marriage sub, I suspect that this lifestyle is not for you. You are destroyed by her bring up the subject. So think how it'll be when she is out doing her thing and you are home alone. I suggest that you get into individual therapy to help you cope and perhaps make difficult decisions. I also suggest that you consult a lawyer to see how you stand in case of divorce. It is entirely possible that your wife already has someone in mind or has already started something that she wishes to legitimize. So be prepared for that. If you do decide to pursue an open marriage, then I suggest couples counseling with a counselor with experience of open marriages. This may help you avoid the pitfalls. User Cultural Shape 5035 OP update in the comment section. Update. Number 1. I want to write an appendment to my first post. There were a lot of things left out from my wife's side. My first post was mainly sharing my POV, but now that I had some time to digest and synthesis what my wife said last night, I'll try to convey my wife's position. To be clear, neither of us did a good job executing what we wanted to say and effectively talking to each other, minus our raw emotions. Rereading my first post, I want to amend a few things I stated to clear up the confusion, but I also want to thank everyone who responded. I read a few and I appreciate all the input. First and foremost, my wife wasn't demanding or tried to coerce me into an open marriage, nor was she forcing me to decide right now. Rather, it was her plea for help and her last-ditch effort to confront the pain and struggles she has had most of her life. She made very clear her love for me, and our marriage is more important than her request for an open marriage. She also said, if I say no, never, the topic will never be brought up again. She will focus on our marriage and love me no less. Hearing her said that didn't make me feel much better at the time, but now with a clear head, it's clear to me she knew what she was asking and she knows the challenges we will face, especially for me. I just want to say, admire her courage. Some of you pointed out that she may have already been cheating on me. Thinking back through our whole marriage and for as long as I've known her, yes, there were plenty of opportunities for her, but in all that time, I never got a spider sense. I never noticed anything out of place, unusual moment or behavior from her. No alarm bells were set off. So no, I don't believe she has cheated on me or there being a potential cheater. One of the things I want to add that I didn't include in my first post, why she didn't tell me this earlier, especially before we got married. I'm not going to give the reason she gave me, but I will say that I believe her and that's good enough for me. I will say this, she had been seeing a therapist before we met for an issue I'm aware of. What I didn't know was she was working with her therapist for this issue as well. It was also the suggestion of the therapist to tell me when she was ready. I also want to address the issue of inadequacy that I may have came off in my first post. My wife has always said to me how I'm more emotionally and psychologically mature than her. And on a wide range of situations, I can carry confidence in a bucket like no other. I admit I wasn't that last night. Truth is, I don't know if I'm a 5. Only other women, not my wife or mom, can rate me. When it comes to satisfying my wife and knowing if one another's needs are met, that issue has never been in concern between us. I know I am satisfying my wife. What she needs is something different. Last night, my wife tried to tell me that and she tried her best to not use that click. It's not you, it's me. But we both fumbled on that. In this case, I do believe she is looking for an answer to a question she is struggling with. And that's why she came out to me, because she needed answers. And she knows I am the only one that can help her find it. The last thing I want to touch on was the start of our family. We both know helping her find the answers she needs with a family would bring unnecessary collateral damage, which is why she came out now. She did say it numerous times last night. She only wants to start a family with me and no one else. It still hurts being told that your wife wants to delay having a family, and I'm still fearful of the possibility we will never have a family together. But we both know logically it has to be done this way. I took the rest of the week off and will see my wife later at home. From there, we'll talk some more. I'll give you an update and please continue with any comment. It would be greatly appreciated. Our users has really good to say. Now, let's have the next story. Now, this next story is on the Cheating Stories subreddit as well, and was submitted by a user named ThrowRay948474. Do I, 50M, allow family that kicked me out at 18 back into my life? Wife, 48F, thinks I should. Holy cow. Never in my dreams would I have thought that I would be the guy posted on Reddit asking for advice. I normally tend to lurk and offer occasional advice, but this one might need external opinions from. Sorry if a bit too long. So little backstory, I'm a twin, and when I was born, I hadn't developed my lungs fully, so had to stay in the hospital for quite a while. Due to this, I had a lot of developmental and emotional issues, dyslexia and anger issues. Now, I don't know if this is the reason, but I believe so, that because of these issues, I was treated poorly by my family, like I was somehow a burden on them. Not to say they were abusive, but the neglect I received was a lot. For an example, on our birthdays, I would ask for something, and my brother would get it instead. One year asked for a boombox, not a big one, but a smaller one. They were all the hit in the 80s. Instead, my brother got it. Christmas came around, asked for a remote-controlled car. Brother got one. I was told due to funds had to wait till after first of the year. Never happened, so basically got nothing but clothes for Christmas, while my twin got toys. I tried for years to show I was as good as my brother. He was always good at school, while I of course struggled. In 6th grade, I worked hard to make sure I got good grades, all Bs, which was good for me. And they said, "Oh nice, your brother got all As." I think it was at this point I realized where I stood. I was just a roommate that they had to take care of, nothing more. So as a kid, I figured that if I can't get attention for positive things, then I'll do whatever, and if I get in trouble, at least they would be forced to pay attention to me. not the brightest idea. But when you are 11, 12 years old, what do you expect? When I turned 18 shortly after graduating high school, I was met at the door with a bag of clothes. I was told that I had to go, that they did their job and I needed to leave. I asked what about my brother. They stated he was going to be somebody as he was going to college, where I struggled in school, so clearly I was going to be a bum. To tell you the truth, I was ready to go anyways. I already knew how they felt, so this didn't even bother me. I grabbed my bag, my mom tried to hug me, but I ignored it and walked out the door, never looking back. It took a while for me to get on my feet. Nowhere to go, no place to sleep, not a penny to my name. But I had some friends to rely on, at least temporarily. Fast forward a few years and I meet my wife while I was working at a gas station. We just clicked. Few years later, we got married. We built a home together, something I never really had growing up. Back in 2005, we had a baby girl, and 2 years later, a boy. From my perspective, my life is perfect. Family, home, a great job in IT. That was until yesterday. I received a phone call from my mom telling me my dad passed away, and that she and the family would hope that I could make it to the funeral. Mind you, I don't know how she got my number, but probably from my brother, but I was shocked to say the least. I told her I was busy working, which I was 12-hour shifts are fun, lol, and would let her know later. She started to say something to the effect that they missed me and would like to be a part of my life or something like that, but I hung up. Kinda rude, I know, maybe even a hish. But from my perspective, I haven't heard a word from these people in 32 years, so why would I give them any more of my time? I told my wife, and although she knows about my family, she thought it would be the right thing to do. Seeing that my mom reached out to tell me, where she could have not told me, that they are family and probably feel bad and want to reconnect. Mind you, my wife has a big family and they've always treated me like family, so her view of family is different than mine. However, as far as I'm concerned, I already have my family. Those other people are former roommates, that I have no obligation to anyone but those who I care about and who care about me, wife and kids. I get it. My wife loves me and is thinking of me and how I might regret not going. Just seems like they now know that dad is gone and life is short, so now guilt is creeping in, and they don't want to die with that guilt. I mean, do I go at the wife's suggestion and be miserable being around people that I learned to let go of and not care about in order to look like a better person? Or do I stay home and continue to live my life, putting my own family first and ignoring those people? Guess asking those that have gone NC with their family if they let them back in, was it worth it? Or did it backfire in your face and something you wouldn't ever do again or suggest to others? Additional info. Mind you, I live in Florida and they probably all still in California, so that would be a long trip and not sure worth it. As far as my twin. We don't talk, not that we hate each other, we just walked different paths in life. I get sent the occasional Christmas card, but that's it. Unless some miracle has happened, my mom is probably still the self-centered person she's always been. She always wanted to be seen as the good person by family and friends. Update. Okay, first, holy crap. I didn't think my post would get so many comments. I tried my best to respond to as many comments as possible as they came in. But after signing out to cook dinner and spend time with the family, when I came back, there were hundreds of comments. So although I didn't respond to each one, I did read them all. All 750 plus even had to read some this morning. Second, thank you everyone for taking the time to read my post and then to take time out of your day to comment, share your story, post some kind words, and even the few that were blunt about what I should do. Third, at the suggestion of so many of you, I sat with my wife and we went through the comments together so she could get a better understanding of where I was coming from. Although some were a little brutal, she understood and apologized for overstepping. I reassured her that her heart was in the right place and nothing to be sorry for. Fourth, at the suggestion of someone who posted, sorry lost your name in the vast comments, that I contact my brother. I did just that. Update time. Okay folks, I hope you are ready for this shit show of karma that is about to unfold. Strap in and hold on. So I called my brother to talk to him. I asked him if he had time to talk, and he did. I asked him if he gave my number to his mom, and he mentioned he did. He thought it would be better to hear about our dad's death from mom than from him. I asked him why I would want to hear from someone who kicked me out at 18 and never heard from in 32 years. He was shocked. He told me that mom said that I could stay, but I had to pay rent. But I told them I would never pay rent and left on my own. As others said in my OP, narcissistic people do and say things to make it about them and make themselves look better. I can't really be surprised at this, to tell you the truth. This is exactly who she was back then and even now. Make me look like the bad apple and her them as the ones who never do wrong. We had a good talk, never getting that sibling twin bond back, but we did agree to try and at least catch up more instead of Christmas cards and birthday messages. Like I said in my OP, he's not a bad guy. We just walked different paths. So then I asked him why mom wants to reconnect and why she wants me at the funeral. You guys were right. Turns out that they spent everything they had. their entire lives trying to live like the Joneses. Now that dad is gone, she has nothing to her name. No savings, just the small amount of SS per month and a small portion of my dad's pension, living in a small trailer. They heard that I actually became somebody, and she was telling others that she couldn't wait to see me at the funeral. She was hoping I would bring my kids so she could see her grandchildren. She actually told my brother that I would be coming, WTF, and was hoping that we could fix our relationship. I'm guessing so that she could start asking for money, as many of you said she would do, seeing she's dirt poor now. I informed him after thinking about it, mostly listening to you guys, that I would not be attending, and at no time did I tell his mom I was coming. I feel bad dad is dead, but I already mourned them years ago. I'm at peace with myself, and her deaths are and will be no different than that of a stranger. That I feel it won't be for me if I go. It will be for his mom and making her look good. I'm not interested in doing anything for her. They wrote me off 32 years ago, and I'm in a way better place without her toxicity, narcissism, and lies. I have to give him credit. He wasn't a jerk about it. He understood where I was coming from. I told him, if anyone asks why I'm not there, to tell them the truth or lie. At this point in my life, my immediate family is more important than people who've been absent from my life for 32 years, so don't really care what he tells them. As far as his mom, I'll be staying no contact and blocking the number that she called me from. My wife and I both agree that it's best for me and our family, not only for mental reasons, but for financial reasons. I didn't work as hard as I did to get where I'm at to lose it all to her. As some of you suggested, I'm gonna have a small goodbye for my dad on my own time. Again, thanks internet strangers. I never knew so many random people could be so nice and caring. This old guy truly, thanks all of you. Do they allow the family that kicked them out at 18 back into their life after 32 years? Now, the backstory unfolds with a childhood marked by neglect and favoritism towards the twin brother. Fast forward to adulthood, our OP has a loving wife, kids, a stable job in IT, the American dream materialized. Then, out of the blue, a phone call from mom about the dad's passing. The family that was MIA for 32 years suddenly wants a reunion. The wife thinks it's the right thing to do. But hold on, the user finds out their mom might be arranging a family reunion for reasons more financial than sentimental. The community suggests a reality check, and the OP decides to steer clear, blocking mom's number for good. It's a tough journey, OP, but you're not alone in navigating the storm. Now let's get into the comments. User Abstract Teapot. Your wife doesn't know her, and that's why she's trying to be optimistic. Some people grow up and can't imagine having toxic family, or they have toxic family and can't imagine not deluding themselves into thinking that family member loves them or craving acceptance from them. Go to a therapist. Talk it out with them, since I'm assuming you have the means since you're in tech. Then tell your wife the therapist agrees with you if you don't think it'll make her feel better. It sounds like she's more worried for you than anything else. You know your family, you know how they operate. Trust that. If you go, don't take your family or give details. And warn your wife and kids that if anyone claims they're family or related to you, to just tell them they don't know who they are and need to speak to you. Until then, they don't want to talk. Better to prepare for the worst. Your mom might be feeling lonely, and right now you're an easy distraction. User @acrobatic5971 said, okay, so I'm going to tell you about my experience of reconnecting after no contact, purely because you asked and maybe it will give an insight or help. My dad rejected me at 13 years old over a stupid argument that I would never ever disown anyone over. I stupidly let him back into my life when I was 17 and went NC again when I was 22. Things were great for a while as he showed me his best side. He obviously had some guilt and did want to reconnect. However, for the last 18 months or year of that period, the mask was gradually slipping and his toxicity and need for control was seeping out with constant criticism. It was a huge strain on my romantic relationship at the time, as my boyfriend started to be victim of it too. We ended up breaking up and I realized I couldn't have my dad in my life. We have been NC ever since. He reached out once after 3 or 4 years of NC, but I looked at it this way and asked myself these questions. What has changed? Has he changed? Is there a tangible way to demonstrate that he has changed? For me, there were tangible ways to see he hadn't, so that was easy enough. Am I happy in my life? If so, do I want him to potentially upend it and cause me stress and upset? Could he add anything positive to my life? Do I miss anything about him? And I came to the conclusion that there were no benefits to me to allow him into my life for a third time. The only people who would benefit would be any relations in touch with us both, who may feel happier about being able to invite us both to things. But hey, they've managed all this time, we can carry on. So no benefits, many potential bad sides, and not coming back into my life. I want to protect my peace, protect my current boyfriend and my stepkids. I am now 36, so it's been 14 years NC, and I still have no desire to reconnect. Maybe ask yourself those questions, but I think from your post you already have your answer. If you're curious or want closure, then meet up once maybe, but not the funeral. If you want to explore a relationship, good luck. X. User throwray948474. OP replies. First, sorry you had to deal with a toxic relationship. It is freaking tough as a kid, even a grown-up, to deal with that. Second, you make some great points to think about. Really need to think long and hard if there is any real potential or upside to letting her back into my normal life. Third, I hope you have a great life without that toxicity in your life. Sounds like you two have a great family, and they should always come first. And last, thanks so much for taking the time to comment and share your story. As we finish this Reddit story, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing for more interesting Reddit tales. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to having you in the next video.